Hi, here's May and welcome to the second video about drawing Genshin Impact characters as idols. For this project I made many designs and illustrations for characters in different idol groups and want to talk about each group in a separate video. If you haven't seen part 1, where I talked about the first group yet, I would recommend checking it out beforehand. In a later video I also explain my overall preparation and process for this project when I've shown all the characters in the videos about their groups, since then you'll know about all the characters I drew. I got to combine two of my biggest interests with this project, Genshin Impact and idol anime, and it was a lot of fun. In today's video I'll talk about the second idol group, which would be Chikara. They have a bright royal aesthetic and do bright pop music mixed with some jazz or indie elements. Here is a mood board I made for this group. Some aesthetics they would be inspired by would be Art Deco, Light Academia, Ethereal, Royalcore, Baroque and Bohemian. You can leave your guesses for who the members of this idol group would be in the comments. Now let's talk about the first one. I first drew a full body illustration, and just like what I did with last week's video, I'll show the time lapses for these full body illustrations, but for one of the members I'll instead include parts from my full screen recorded files, because showing the full screen recorded process would include too much mirroring and moving around, but I also want to show you how I drew the illustrations in that way, not just as a time lapse as well. The first member in this group would be Zhongli, and maybe you already want to make guesses about the members I mention afterwards in the comments. To come up with the poses, I first made thumbnail sketches, which I then used as reference to pose 3D models in Clip Studio Paint. I then used an image of the model as reference for the proportions while drawing in Krita. The poses I drew for Zhongli were one where he was standing in a slight 3/4 view and one in a sideways view. For both of them, he had his weight on one leg standing straight while the other one is bent. For both poses, he also has one hand lifted up in front of his chest and the other one on his hip. His head was angled in a straight way. In the sideways pose, more frontal one, it was angled slightly downwards in an opposite angle to the shoulders. I drew a idol outfit that would be similar for all members, but a bit different for each one, as well as a modern outfit which was unique for each character for this AU. I went with a sweater and collared shirt underneath and dress pants for his modern outfit. Then I went with some more formal sneakers. I used a lot of references to figure out what folds I would want to use for the pants here. For the idol outfit in this group, I went with a loose t-shirt with asymmetrical collar that had some patterns and square-shaped accessoires on them. Then I went with rather tighter pants made of soft fabric. You'll see I also included different kinds of shoes for this group and colors. For once we'd have this version here with flat shoes with the pants having a wider end, but you'll also see the other version for the later members. I also added in a belt, arm and leg accessoires and a necklace here. Many idol outfits I see have a black and white theme to them with some gold or silver accessoires. This is also the color scheme I went for with this idol group. The only other colorful part I added would be the cape from his belt. In his case this was brown, fitting to his eye color. He has a dark shirt. I thought this would fit for him since it's similar for his in-game design with his darker palette. I went with a black and brown color palette for Zhongli's modern outfit, once again inspired by his in-game look. I experimented a bit with gradients for the sweater and went with dark brown sleeves and a brighter part around the torso. Here I also added in some diamond shapes as pattern for the sweater. Let's now talk more about the accessoires. I added some more in after I had drawn the illustrations for the first time for some of the modern outfits in this video. For the idol outfit I just had the mostly gold and some black accessoires I mentioned before. As accessoires other than his in-game earring, I added in a bag, leg band, necklace and some rings for the modern outfit. I thought about adding a scarf as well, but I preferred the necklace. Something else I also took from his in-game design would be the accessoire on the straps of his bag. I also adjusted parts of the full body illustration after I was done with drawing them at first. As I was drawing Zhongli, I was sometimes unsure about how rounded or straight I would want the legs to be, as well as the width of the upper body of the 3/4 pose. The left shoulder and upper body looked like they were not properly connected to me for some time, so I adjusted this. I also tend to draw the eyebrows in pretty high up, and for Zhongli drawing them low was important. I adjusted this as well. Next, let's move on to the CG illustration of him. In this project I included the full body illustrations as well as these ones inspired by CGs in some of my favorite idol fandoms like Ensemble Stars or B Project. For this I will also show parts of the full screen recorded process for one of the members later on. In case you want to know more about the steps I take to draw illustrations like these, I also made a video explaining my full illustration process a while ago. For this video I'll talk about things that stood out for each character. I also used Clip Studio 3D models to come up with poses for the members here. I went with a camera angle from slightly above the eye level of the characters here. The viewer was looking slightly downwards onto the characters. Since Zhongli is a rather quiet character, meaning I wouldn't see him pulling the crazy dance moves and being super energetic on stage, but rather graceful, I went with a more casual pose where he had one hand reaching towards the viewer and the other one on his hip. I experimented with how bent I would want his upper body to be here. His shoulders and eyes were angled in different ways, something I did with most illustrations since I find it can make poses more interesting. While drawing drawing the outfit and referencing my full body illustration for this, figuring out the perspective of the arm accessoire on the arm that was stretched out towards the viewer was challenging, since for the other poses it wasn't foreshortened like here. I wanted the parts around the collar to look like they're in motion to make the illustration more dynamic. Other than that, drawing his hair and earring was also a lot of fun to me. It also added some movement. I went with warm golden lighting for the CG illustrations in this group. It especially fit to the gold accessoires of the outfits to me. I went with light from the right for Zhongli. Finally, I adjusted the illustration. I did this similarly to the full body ones, mostly adjusting the head, adding hair strands and painting over parts, adding in some turquoise, blue and purple and pink hue variation which fit to the background color-wise. I noticed that Zhongli's eyes were too far apart and wide open to me at first and adjusted this. I also painted in some more light on the black accessoires of his outfit. As said while drawing the pose, I don't think Zhongli would be the dancer in this group. He would probably be very popular for his deep singing voice though, and when it comes to events he'd always be reliable. He would also probably like to handle the group's contracts and organizational tasks. Now for characters that remind me of Zhongli. First we have Hokuto, Kaito, Izumi, Ran, Jun and Aichi from Ensemble Stars. Next would be Yuki, Yuri and Sogo from Idol 7. From Beep Project we'd have Miroku and Yuduki, and from Hypnosis Mike, Jakurai, Gentaro and Ryo. And after Zhongli, the next member is Child. For Child, I went with more outgoing, expressive poses, one from the front where he had his arms stretched out and one from a 3/4 view with the other arm stretched up. Compared to Zhongli, his feet are much farther apart, for example. For the front one pose, the head and shoulders are at a pretty straight angle, whereas for the 3/4 view, they are angled differently. The modern outfit for Child is made up of a oversized t-shirt with a light shorter t-shirt jacket on top, as well as some jeans and sneakers. Drawing these sneakers took a long time because I wanted the patterns on there to look believable and unique. And here you can pretty much see the other version for the idol outfit for this group. Child has a white shirt combined with long boots with tucked in pants. His blue cape around the belt fit to his eye color and make his idol outfit unique. Color-wise, I experimented with including black, white, brown and blue for his modern outfit. In the end, I went with a white t-shirt, dark blue jacket and brown pants as well as white sneakers here. Child had black wristbands, a necklace and a bag as accessoires. For the bag here, I was unsure about how I wanted to portray it for the 3/4 pose, since I had already drawn in the t-shirt jacket being pretty tight here. I just decided the bag would not have enough volume to affect the overall silhouette of the shirt jacket here. Things I changed up for Child would be, for one, his t-shirt. It was tucked into the pants on one side, but it having a sharp end in the front didn't make sense here. When you're wearing a t-shirt, you can also see it has a rounded shape at the end around your body. The sharp shape only works for things like the t-shirt jacket here, where you would have a cut. The pose I went with when drawing Child's CG illustration was one where he had his arm in front stretched up and the one in the back reaching forward. His upper body was tilted sideways to the left. His head and shoulders are angled in different directions. Then I also added in his upper leg at the bottom left to make his pose more dynamic and expressive. Drawing the arm in front was kind of difficult to me since I don't draw arms in a position like this often. Especially figuring out how the elbow shape should look can be difficult to me here. Drawing in the sleeve in front and the arm accessoire in proper perspectives was one of the bigger struggles here. For the rest of the outfit it worked pretty smoothly. I added in light from the right, meaning Child would be kind of backlit. You could interpret this as showing that he has a bit of a dark side, with most of his body being in shadow. Things I wanted to adjust for this illustration definitely were, for one, his face. Both eyes actually were too low on the face to me. I also made his wrists a bit thinner and adjusted the outfit parts like the black crystals by painting over them. Child could be the dancer of this group, but I think another member would be the dancer with him, where he would be really expressive on stages, make a lot of jokes and be able to convince people to do something through sweet talk. Him and Zhongli would kind of make the perfect duo here. Zhongli being very organized and calm, able to explain factual things, while Child would bring in charisma and charm. They complement each other nicely. For characters that remind me of Child, we have Subaru, Rinne, Leo, Yuri, Kaoru and Koga from Ensemble Stars, Momo, Torao and Toma from Idol 7, Akane and Hikaru from Beep Project, as well as Ichiro, Jiro and Dice from Hypnosis Mike. The next member I'll talk about is Alhaitham. Here I for one went with a pose where he would be standing, facing forward, with both hands on his hips. The head and shoulder angle is the same here. For the second pose he's standing in a 3/4 view, one hand at his chin and one on his hip with his head tilted downwards while his shoulders are pretty straight. For his modern outfit I wanted to go with a t-shirt, tight jeans, flat shoes and maybe include a jacket. I added some variations for this jacket and tried out some different lengths for the torso part as well as for the sleeves. Here I went with a longer torso part jacket, and in the end I had basically 3 versions, just his t-shirt and jacket but with no sleeves, and the jacket with longer sleeves. I wanted him to not look too comfy or are cute and rather elegant, but also modern and cool, fitting to his personality. You can tell me which one you prefer for him. He has a black shirt and boots for his idol outfit, and the cape would be turquoise, fitting to his eye color. I either had the character wear long or short pants, flat shoes or boots, and then I also either had them wear a white shirt or a black shirt. The pants he wears in his modern outfit have a different shade of grey for each leg. While I haven't seen pants like this often, I saw them on Pinterest and thought this would look more interesting than just a black shirt with grey pants, so I went with it. His jacket is green, a bit similar to his cape in game. I'm not sure if Alhaitham would just go for a all black look when wearing a modern outfit, or if he would wear a green jacket like this. What do you think? His shirt also has a gold pattern on it, and accessoires I included for his modern outfit would be a necklace, a hip accessoire on the left, bracelets for his right arm, and a leg accessoire for his right leg. The jacket also has small gold stones on the sleeves. I struggled with drawing Alhaitham's poses a bit, since his body seemed too wide at times when I compared it to the other characters I had drawn, and adjusted this in the end. When drawing the idol CG illustration, I used a photo as reference for the hand pose. He has both of his arms stretched up, but I didn't want to go for a too expressive pose. Since Alhaitham isn't a very expressive and outgoing person, his expression also is rather serious. His shoulders are going up while his head is tilted downwards. Getting the colors, accessoires and belt of the outfit to stay consistent size and position wise was a bit difficult while drawing the CG illustrations for this group. I referenced my full body drawings. Imagining how the outfits would look from drawing them was a nice exercise to test how well I understood the design and perspective for the CGs. The light here was from the right. Because of this, most of Alhaitham was in shadow. The only light on his face would be on his nose. Alhaitham looked a bit shocked to me at first. His eyes were too wide open, so I adjusted this along with a few other things like the hair volume. As an idol, I think Alhaitham would make sure to take his job seriously. Wouldn't appear very motivated though, but I could imagine him being the composer who listens to a lot of music. Next up are characters that remind me of Alhaitham. From Ensemble Stars we have Makoto, Soma, Ritsu, Ran, Ibara and Rei. From Idolish 7, Ten, Gaku and Yamato, and from B Project Ushi as well as Onsai. Finally, from Hypnosis Mike, Samatoki, Juto and Sayuta would remind me of him. Now we're done with Alhaitham, and at this point you might probably already have guessed that the last member in this group is Kavi. I had a pose with him standing, one arm in front of his chest and the other one on his hip. I wanted this to be more expressive than for Alhaitham, for example, by having his arms and legs be spread out wider. Here his head and shoulders are also at different angles. For the second pose I then went with his left arm and leg being lifted up, while the right arm and leg were straight downwards. I thought this would fit to Kavi's more expressive personality. He would definitely be the main dancer in this idol group to me. For Kavi's modern outfit I went with a longer shirt and belt which was slightly unbuttoned, showing a bit of his chest and a belt around his waist. Other than that, he has tight formal pants and flat shoes. I wanted this outfit to look rather elegant. Kavi has longer pants in his idol outfit, fitting to his in-game design, as well as a white shirt and a red cape. So you can see I have 4 different versions using the 2 different variations of either the shirt color or the pant length included in this idol group. While I could see Kavi wearing more colorful outfits, I went with a simple palette including black, brown and white. This would fit well to the other outfits to me. He also has some golden accessoires, rings, a bracelet, earrings and some around his belt. His pants also have a golden small pattern, a bit similar to Zhongli. He also wears a small bag and a choker-like accessoire around his neck, to which I added another necklace as well later on. Things I adjusted for Kavi would be the back foot for the pose where he had his leg lifted up, then the eyes also were pretty far apart for the other pose, which I adjusted after I was done with the body. I adjusted all the faces separately as well. In this time lapse I'm only showing how I adjusted the bodies though, and you'll see the adjustments I made for the faces in the end. Moving on to the CG illustration for Kavi. I wanted to go for an expressive pose. He has one of his legs lifted up, his back arm stretched out and the arm in front lifted up. His head is tilted downwards to the left while his shoulders are going upwards to the left. With all these things I wanted the pose to look more dynamic. Since Kavi has longer hair I was able to add some flowy hair strands here, which was nice. I also included the accessoires around his hip and showed the cape since his leg was lifted up. Once again the lighting was from the right here. I changed up Kavi's expression, making his smile more expressive. I also changed up the head angle slightly along with painting over the accessoires and some gold parts in the end. I would imagine Kavi wearing pretty sophisticated outfits showing off his artistic side, while Child would go for a modern look, Zhongli for a comfortable but formal look and Alhaitham a pretty casual one. I don't see Alhaitham as someone who would want to put in a lot of time into dressing up. However, since Kavi would be in the idol group with him, I could see Kavi being a bit of the outfit coordinator. Maybe he'd buy clothes for all of them and plan what they would wear for different events they're invited to. Kavi would definitely be a dancer in this group, along with Child probably, and most fans would like him a lot since he's pretty wholesome. Finally, for characters that fit to Kawei, I will mention Mao, Nikki, Arashi, Hiyori, Wataru and Tori from Ensemble Stars, then Ryonosuke, Nagi and Mitsukuni from Idolish 7, as well as Kento and Haruhi from B Project, and finally Ramuda, Doppo and Hifumi from Hypnosis Mic. I used the same background for all characters, not literally the same image, but rather I made a background that was seamlessly transitioning into the other ones, reusing the elements. This way I wanted the characters to look like they're on stage together when putting all illustrations side by side. At the same time, I also wanted each illustration to work with its individual background. For figuring out the perspective of the objects, I was able to use my initial Clip Studio Paint 3D poses that include perspective grids. The background I used here had a turquoise undertone. Then I added in these electronic big screens that are often on stage. A live recording of the idol members or other videos are shown. Then I added stage railings and objects onto the stage. These included crystals and golden props. I also added some lights and hanging pearl lines. And finally, I mentioned idol groups. This group would be inspired by dynamic and music-wise. For once, this group's dynamic would remind me of Eden from N-Stars. The group is kind of split up into Adam and Eve, and Ran from the Adam group fits to Zhongli and Ibarra to Child, while for Eve, Kawei is similar to Hiyori and Alhaitham to June. Another N-Stars group they remind me of would be Trickstar. Here, Hokuto fits to Zhongli and Subaru to Child, their hair colors even match, and then Makoto would be like Alhaitham and Mao like Kawei. And in a way, Trickstar as well as this group reminds me of 4 Haikyuu characters as well, with Subaru or Child being like Hinata, Hokuto and Zhongli like Kageyama, Makoto and Alhaitham like Tsukishima, and Mao and Kawei like Yamaguchi. In Idolish 7, I found it interesting that they kinda fit to the characters color-wise, Zhongli to Iori, Child to Mitsukuni, Kawei to Nagi and Alhaitham to Yamato, and even a bit Soro. And finally, in Hypnosis Mic, they remind me of Buster Bros for once. Ichiro is kinda like Child or Kawei, Jiro then like Child, and Sayuta like Alhaitham or Zhongli. Then for Flink Puzzle, Ramuda and Kawei are kinda similar. Dice fits to Child definitely, and Gentaro would work for Kawei, Zhongli or Alhaitham. Groups that this idol group, Chika, would remind me of music and aesthetic-wise would include Eden, Nights and Fine from Ensemble Stars, Reveil from Idolish 7, Kitacore from B Project, Matenro from Hypnosis Mic, Argonavis from AA side, from Tsukiyata or Bezrock, the group Procellarum, from Tsuki Pro Grove, and from Paradox Live, the Cat's Whiskers and Burai Khan. And I'm also mentioning a free Eclectic Actors here. There you have 4 groups based on the 4 seasons. They would fit to the spring troop to me. That's it for the second idol group I drew illustrations for. Would you personally prefer this or the previous group aesthetic, character and music genre wise? Let me know in the comments. You can also tell me what you would imagine these characters would be like as idols. I also have some other idol groups to talk about, so if you enjoyed seeing this video, I hope you look forward to the next one. Let me know what other characters you think I'll draw, or you can just tell me idol anime you like and characters there. Maybe also if they remind you of Genshin Impact characters. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye.